When a shy black girl set up her tiny lemonade stand on a quiet corner, she never expected a roaring gang of leather-clad bikers to stop by. But what happened next shocked the entire town, a twist no one saw coming. Proving kindness can come from the most unexpected places. It was the start of summer in the small town of Evergreen Falls. Birds chirped lazily under the blazing sun, and the streets were unusually quiet, most families either on vacation or indoors trying to escape the heat. On the corner of Maple Street and Willow Lane, under the shade of a massive oak tree, stood a makeshift lemonade stand, decorated with pink ribbons, glittery signs, and hand-drawn posters that read, "Ice-cold lemonade, $1. The architect." Behind the operation was 9-year-old Harmony Johnson, a bright-eyed black girl with curly pigtails, a fearless imagination, and a heart far bigger than her tiny frame. This wasn't just any lemonade stand. To Harmony, it was her dream business, the first step to opening her own cafe one day. She had been saving for months, and now armed with her grandma's secret recipe, a foldable table, and her best friend, a stuffed rabbit named Sir Lemonworth, she was finally ready to serve the neighborhood. But day after day, cars passed by without stopping. Kids ignored her. Some adults gave her sympathetic smiles, but never reached for their wallets. One lady even told her, "You're adorable, but I only drink organic pressed juices," before speeding off. Still, Harmony stood tall, always smiling, always hopeful. Back home, her mother, Rachel Johnson, watched from the front porch with mixed feelings, proud of her daughter's initiative, but worried. This town, though mostly peaceful, had its share of unspoken tensions. Harmony was the only black child in her neighborhood, and though overt racism was rare, microaggressions were not. Rachel had seen the whispers, the stares, and the veiled compliments that often came her daughter's way. Meanwhile, 3 miles out of town, a rumble broke the silence, deep, thunderous, and unmistakable. A convoy of motorcycles cruised along the highway, chrome flashing under the sunlight, leather jackets glistening with patches, symbols, and badges. They were the Iron Stallions, a notorious biker group known not for crime or troublemaking, but for their unique code of honor. Led by Big Mike, towering man with a braided beard and tattoos that told stories of Vietnam and community work, the Iron Stallions were misjudged more often than not. Their mission today? A cross-state charity ride to support youth shelters and veteran programs. But as fate would have it, they took a detour through Evergreen Falls, a detour that would change everything. As the roar of engines approached Maple Street, Harmony looked up from her pitcher and gasped. A wall of bikers, loud, intimidating, and clad in black, turned onto her street. She froze, unsure whether to run or stay. Her lemonade stand trembled in the breeze. The neighbors peeked through blinds. Rachel stood up in alarm, and then, the unthinkable happened. The bikers didn't pass by, they stopped. One by one, the motorcycles pulled up to the curb, engines idling like sleeping beasts. Helmets came off, revealing a diverse group. Men and women, black, white, Latino, old and young. Big Mike dismounted first, glanced at the pink sign, and grinned. Well, he said, kneeling to Harmony's level. "Heard you've got the best lemonade in town." Harmony blinked. "You want some?" "Only if you take cash and high praise." He chuckled, holding out a $20 bill. "You only want 1 cup." "Nope," said another biker, a woman named V. "We all want one, and we want to sit right here with you." Kid, the neighborhood watched in stunned silence as the bikers sat on the grass, chatted with Harmony, complimented her stand, took selfies, and offered tips on marketing. Big Mike even fixed her wobbly table using a wrench from his saddlebag. One of them, an ex-marketer, helped rewrite her signage to be more eye-catching. Rachel came outside in disbelief. Harmony's grin could have lit the sun, but what no one knew yet was that this wasn't a one-time visit. The Iron Stallions had just adopted a new cause, and Harmony's life was about to be transformed. For the first time since Harmony set up her stand, Maple Street was alive with chatter. By the end of that remarkable afternoon, the Iron Stallions had not only bought every drop of lemonade Harmony had to offer, but they'd also left behind a small tip jar brimming with over $200. Big Mike patted Harmony on the shoulder, promising they'd be back soon. And just like that, the thunder of engines roared away down the street, leaving behind the scent of motor oil and the sweet buzz of wonder. Rachel stood next to her daughter, still absorbing everything. Did that really just happen?" she asked at Harmony, barely able to stop smiling. Nodded. "Mama, they said I got grit, and that my lemonade tastes like summer on a motorcycle." By the next morning, the town was talking. It began with the neighbor across the street, Mr. Whitmore, who'd seen the entire event from behind his curtains. Though usually quick to judge anything unusual, he found himself strangely impressed. He posted a photo of Harmony and the bikers on the town Facebook group with the caption, "Unexpected joy on Maple Street yesterday. This little girl was visited by a biker gang, and it was the best thing I've seen in years." The post went viral locally. Suddenly, people who had never stopped by Harmony's stand were now curious. They came by, pretending it was about the lemonade, but in truth, they were looking to see if the bikers would return. A local reporter stopped by to snap photos for the Evergreen Falls Gazette. Within days, the headline read, "Sweet Lemonade and Steel Local girl wins hearts of biker group. Business picked up. Every cup was now selling out. Harmony, with Rachel's help, began waking up earlier to squeeze fresh lemons, restock supplies, and make cookies to go with the drinks. But even with the rise in attention, some of the town's deep-seated biases began to show. On the fourth day after the bikers' visit, a woman in a beige visor and tennis skirt, Mrs. Larkins, approached the stand with her daughter in tow. "Oh, this is the stand, huh?" she said, peering around. "We heard about it, quite the attention you're getting." Harmony offered her the same smile she gave everyone. "Would you like lemonade, ma'am? It's $1. Mrs. Larkins wrinkled her nose as she looked at the small sign taped to the table. "And do you sanitize everything properly? You know, with all the traffic you've had lately? Biker types aren't usually the cleanest." Rachel, watching from the porch, clenched her jaw. Harmony nodded. "Yes, ma'am. I wash everything, wear gloves, and my mom helps me every day." Mrs. Larkins reluctantly handed over $1, whispering to her daughter, "Don't touch anything." Then she added louder, "Well, at least she's doing something productive instead of playing video games all day. That's commendable." Harmony felt her heart sink a little, but she smiled anyway. She had learned early from her mom, not everyone claps for you, but you keep dancing anyway. The Iron Stallions returned that weekend, and this time, they weren't alone. With them came other biker groups from nearby towns, the Steel Comet, the Desert Winds, even a group of veterans on Harleys who called themselves the Peacekeepers. What had started as a chance encounter had turned into something bigger. Big Mike stood at the front of the crowd, holding a hand-painted wooden sign that read, "Harmony's Lemonade, official biker-approved fuel." Cheers broke out as the bikers parked along the street, some bringing foldable chairs, music speakers, and even small canopies for shade. One of them, a retired schoolteacher named Pops, brought Harmony a brand new cooler with her name carved. On the side, another brought her custom-designed business cards, "Harmony's Lemonade," bringing people together, one cup at a time. The street transformed into a block party. Local families peeked out their doors, then trickled out to join. Some brought their own snacks, others set up tables to sell handmade crafts. A few cautious folks kept their distance at first, uncertain if this was chaos or celebration. But by nightfall, it was clear, this was something magical. The town's mayor even stopped by. Mayor Thompson, a middle-aged man with a perpetually furrowed brow, looked around at the spectacle with both awe and concern. He pulled Rachel aside. "We need to talk," he said, glancing at the row of motorcycles. Rachel crossed her arms. "About what?" "Look, Rachel, this is wonderful for your daughter. I get that, but Maple Street wasn't zoned for festivals, and with this kind of attention, we'll have to look at permits, noise ordinances." Rachel's voice didn't raise, but her tone cut like steel. "Are you saying we should shut it down?" "I'm saying we need to follow protocols." Rachel smiled coolly. "Then we'll file permits, get approvals. Do it the right way. But I'll be damned if you think you're going to silence a 9-year-old girl who brought this town together more than any mayoral speech ever has." The mayor blinked. The next day, Rachel and Big Mike filed the paperwork to host a monthly Lemonade Day event featuring community booths, music, and of course, Harmony's stand at the heart of it all. The town council hesitated at first, but the overwhelming support on social media, dozens of letters, and even an op-ed in the local paper pushed them to approve it unanimously. By the end of the month, Harmony had become a local celebrity. Interviews, podcasts, a short segment on regional news. Her lemonade stand had grown from a folding table to a full kiosk, painted bright yellow, with her name proudly displayed. Local artists donated murals. One volunteer even set up a small donation fund to support Harmony's dream of opening a cafe one day. But beneath the celebration, something deeper was happening. People were changing. Mr. Whitmore, the once grumpy neighbor, began volunteering at the town food pantry. Mrs. Larkins, though still suspicious of those bikers, helped organize a back-to-school supply drive after learning several stallions were veterans who had struggled with homelessness. Even the mayor began talking about community engagement with new enthusiasm. It was as though Harmony's stand, simple, small, and filled with love, had cracked open something hidden in a town that had quietly carried its prejudices and kept to safe, familiar routines. A little black girl with a pitcher of lemonade had sparked something profound, and still, Harmony remained unchanged. She didn't care for fame. She didn't understand what viral meant. What mattered to her was simple. She was doing what she loved, and the people she loved, like Big Mike, V Pops, and all the others, were proud of her. One evening, as the sun dipped low and Harmony counted the day's earnings, Big Mike sat beside her on the curb. He said, pulling out a cigar he never lit. "We've ridden thousands of miles, seen hundreds of towns, but this little corner right here, it's special." Harmony looked up. "Why?" He smiled. "Because of you." She blushed. "All I did was make lemonade." "No, sweetheart, you made connection. You made people look at each other different. You made tough bikers cry and stuck-up neighbors open their hearts. That's more than lemonade. That's leadership." She didn't fully understand his words then, but she tucked them away like precious stones. As the stars blinked into the sky that night, The hum of motorcycles faded into the distance, and the glow of porch lights danced across Maple Street. One thing was certain, the story of Harmony's lemonade stand wasn't over. It was only just beginning. By the time September arrived, Harmony's lemonade stand wasn't just a neighborhood fixture, it had become a symbol. Maple Street, once quiet and tucked away from Evergreen Falls' main buzz, now saw a steady flow of visitors from surrounding towns. Some came for the lemonade, others came out of curiosity, but most came because they had heard about a little black girl who inspired a group of leather-clad bikers, warmed an entire town's heart, and started a movement, all with a picture, a dream, and a smile. For Harmony, it was still about the lemonade. She still woke up early, pressing lemons with her mom, washing fruit with care, and lining the stand with colorful signs. But something had changed. There were now volunteers, other kids from the community who wanted to help, who looked up to her. A young girl named Ava, who used to be painfully shy, now handled customer greetings. A boy named Mateo, who once stuttered from anxiety, became the official sign painter. Even the mayor's own teenage son asked if he could DJ at the monthly lemonade day, and Harmony welcomed them all. Her business had grown beyond her wildest dreams, but she refused to let it become just that. A business, it remained a stand, no bells, no frills, just love, poured into each cup. Big Mike and the Iron Stallions stayed true to their word, returning every month like clockwork. But one day, during an unusually quiet Thursday afternoon, Mike arrived alone. Rachel saw him first and immediately noticed something was off. He looked tired, not just from the road, but from something heavier. "Harmony's still at school," she said, walking down the steps of the porch. "Want some sweet tea while you wait?" Mike nodded silently and sat down. After a long pause, he spoke. "I wanted to talk to you before I talked to her." Rachel sat beside him. "I have stage 4 pancreatic cancer," he said flatly. "Docs say it's months, maybe weeks. I wanted to tell Harmony myself, but I don't want to break her heart." Rachel's breath caught. Tears welled in her eyes before she could stop them. "Mike, I'm so sorry. I've lived a full life," he said, managing a smile. "But that kid, she gave me the best chapter of it. She reminded me what hope looks like." When Harmony returned home and saw Mike waiting, she ran toward him, arms open. "Big Mike, you came early." He held her tightly and whispered into her ear, "I've got something to tell you, sweet pea." She looked up, worried. "Are you okay?" Mike didn't lie. He told her gently, honestly, and without drama. Her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't look away. "Can I still call you, if I miss you?" she asked softly. Mike nodded, tears now spilling freely, always. "And I got something for you too." He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small wooden box. Inside was a silver pendant, shaped like a lemon, engraved with the words, "When life gives you lemons, make something unforgettable." "This belonged to my mother," he said. "She gave it to me when I left for the military. Said it was for when I needed courage. Now it's yours." Harmony clutched it to her chest. After Mike left, Rachel found her daughter sitting under the oak tree by the stand, staring at the sky. She sat beside her in silence. "He's gonna go to heaven soon, huh?" Harmony asked. Rachel nodded, brushing a curl from her daughter's cheek. "Yeah, baby. Then I'm gonna keep this going forever for him." Rachel hugged her tightly. "He'd love that." The legacy begins by winter. The town of Evergreen Falls had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The monthly Lemonade Day turned into a citywide initiative. Inspired by Harmony's stand, the town voted to build a new youth center, funded in part by donations raised by the Iron Stallions and local businesses. They named it the Harmony House. Inside, kids could sell their own crafts, run mini businesses, and learn skills from volunteers, including cooking, coding, financial literacy, and storytelling. The bikers built custom benches, hand-carved with motivational quotes. A mural of Harmony and Big Mike laughing together became the centerpiece of the community garden wall. Schools added a new segment to their curriculum called Kindness Projects, where students were encouraged to start their own initiatives that helped others. Harmony was invited to speak at several classrooms, her first time public speaking, and though nervous at first, she discovered she had a voice that made people listen. She often ended her talks with, "Don't wait until you're grown. To make a difference, grown-ups don't have a monopoly on love." Rachel watched her daughter blossom, both proud and humbled. But not every moment was easy. The town mourned when Big Mike passed that spring. His funeral drew over 500 people, many of them bikers from across the country. Harmony was asked to speak. She stood before a sea of denim, leather, and tear-streaked faces, holding the lemon-shaped pendant in one hand. "My friend Mike taught me that being tough doesn't mean being mean, and that kindness doesn't always come in a hug. Sometimes, it comes on a motorcycle." Laughter mixed with tears. She ended her eulogy with words that would later be printed on plaques, signs, and t-shirts. "Love loudly. Show up and always stop for lemonade." 5 years later, the streets of Evergreen Falls looked the same on the surface. The oak trees still lined Maple Street, the houses still painted in neat, polite colors. But something beneath the surface had shifted permanently. At the corner where it all began stood Harmony Cafe Community Stand, a small but thriving business with indoor seating, a book nook, and a Take a Lemon Level Lemon donation wall. It was run by Harmony, now 14. With the help of her mom and a rotating group of local teens, the original lemonade stand sat preserved in a glass case near the front window. The hand-drawn $1 sign still taped to the top. Each year, on Big Mike's birthday, the town held Stallion Sunday, where motorcyclists, teachers, firefighters, artists, and kids gathered to raise money for causes Harmony supported. Last year's focus was a scholarship fund. This year, it would fund free summer camps. But for Harmony, it wasn't about the recognition. One quiet morning, she sat outside with her old stuffed rabbit, Sir Lemonworth, watching the sunrise over Maple Street. A little girl and her father walked by, pausing to read the mural painted on the cafe wall. The girl, no older than Harmony had been when she started, looked in awe. The father smiled and said, "That's the girl who changed this town." Harmony smiled and waved. "No," she whispered to herself. "This town changed itself. I just gave it something to believe in." As the door to her cafe opened and the first customer stepped inside, Harmony stood tall, not just as a business owner, not just as a teenager, but as a leader. She had made lemonade, she had made history, and she had made a future no one, not even she, could have imagined.